Alien 3, I think when it was finished was kind of a hard movie to embrace. I enjoyed it personally. I enjoyed it a lot, but I saw the kind of anguish of the process on film, and I think everybody felt it.
When I finally saw it, I was thrilled actually, because a lot of what I contributed with David was on screen, and that's always a thrill. And the people who'd seen it with me and my family and my friends, they all seemed to like it too very much.
I love the alien dog creature, and we had fun. We laughed a lot. It's another great cast, you know.
To be brutally honest, I was a bit confused about who was who and what was what, and especially in these corridors, you know. And the sense of geography has all gone to pot, in my opinion.
Kevin! Gregor! Where the fuck are you?
Well, you know, I certainly think it's a worthy film. I mean, you know, there's some things about it. You know, there's some some things in the story that I forgot how early Charles Dance died. You know, and I think I remember that. You know, I always remember going, man, we could have used him later in the story. You know, it's my 2 cents.
What I enjoyed about 3 was that it was about a human apocalyptic tale. That it was less about the monster and more about Ripley and these men. And I was, at one time, admittedly, I was ambiguous about the film, even publicly, because it was a difficult shoot and a difficult period, those 4 or 5 months we worked on it.
I strongly believe that David Fincher had some genius ideas in how he wanted to really make the film, and he probably had to make some compromises in the end, and that way I don't think you necessarily get the strongest possible film. Sometimes it's better, whether it's good or bad, at least have somebody have a really strong idea of what they want and go after that.
You have to be able to have one voice, one person that takes things through, otherwise you can't hope to have coherence. And that, sadly, I think ultimately, for me, was the tragedy of Alien 3 and, you know, what ultimately became the film. There were too many cooks. The stakes over-dominated the creative content and undermined it.
I think that ultimately Alien 3 ended up being a certain kind of a compromise to a certain extent, and I know that at least at that time I felt that David Fincher wasn't very happy with the situation.
I think of it as an unfinished film, in a sense that David didn't get to do the movie that he set out and that I was really excited about. So I don't see it as a finished film. I think I saw some of it in a movie theater once, and maybe 5 minutes of it somewhere else, but I knew what they'd taken out of the movie. And you know, it's like the domino effect. Once you do this and that, you know, it creates a whole new set of variables, which creates a different film.
I felt that the big problem with Alien 3 is that it doesn't really deliver on its genre expectations. You know, there's some very interesting things in the movie, but the real basic, you know, if you're making, you know, a horror movie, it should be scary, and I don't think Alien 3 is particularly scary.
I think David did some remarkable things in the film. There are great visual moments, there are great character moments, and that he was able to pull those out without that foundation. A script is the foundation from which any movie is based, and David didn't have that. Yet he pulled out the scenes that work and great images.
In the US, it wasn't immediately, you know, universally loved and accepted, was because I think of the tone of it, of the tone that Fincher had insisted for it, the look of it. It's important. If this was downbeat, I would contend this. You know, that it was David Fincher's style, which actually was slightly ahead of the game, slightly ahead of, you know. Later on, I've got a feeling he's vindicated, you know, in shooting in that style.
You know, for American audiences, looking at these bunch of bald guys, they couldn't tell one from the next. That was a constant complaint. They all had English accents, which drove them all crazy, you know. And it ended up doing as well as the first two. It was always surprising because it wasn't much liked here in the States, but it was abroad. For example, I don't know, in Europe it did really well, and in places like South Korea it did enormous. In Asia it did really well.
And it seems that actually the audience for it has grown over the years because of video and because of DVD. People realized what it was Fincher was trying to say with this movie, and I think it's become much more accepted in the years since it's come out than it was when it was first theatrically released.
I mean, I hope now everyone will see how good this film was, because it was and still is a good film, but the trouble is it's been hidden in cans for too long.
It's not a perfect film, but really very worthy of being in this succession.
Quick, easy, and painless.
Of prayers.